Today we will be talking to a service club. Do you have any idea of the amount of good that is done locally and globally by your local service clubs? Stay tuned and hear about the Kiwanis International Club and their local Cupertino chapter.
Welcome to The Better Part, a program that encompasses a diverse spectrum of topics important to our community, which we hope will both inform and entertain you. We invite you to sit back and enjoy the program.
Visiting with us today is Dave Gragnola, president of the local Kiwanis International, and Doug Larson, past president of the Kiwanis International local chapter. Let's start with you, David. What is a service club?
Well, a service club is usually a group of folks to get together. It could be Kiwanis or any other service club in the community. A lot of times you'll see their signs as you enter a town.
Yeah.
And we will get together to raise money and disperse money to causes that we feel fit our club and benefit the local community.
I've always felt that the public just doesn't know that much about service clubs, and they really should because of all the great amount of work that you do. How big is the Kiwanis?
The Kiwanis is international in scope, and it's over 80 countries that we're currently involved with, 800,000 members throughout the world, and including the Kiwanis Club itself, key clubs, which are the high school group, Circle K, which is the college level group that's part of Kiwanis, and there's also a middle school group that kind of leads into Key Club and some of the others. So it's a very large international organization headquartered in Indianapolis.
Where did the name come from? That's a slightly odd name.
It's Kiwanis is an Indian name that comes from, and I look at the tribe, Ochipu American Indian tribe, and it's has several espoused definitions, but it was pronounced Nuk Kiwanis, and which can mean we trade, it can mean we meet, we share, and even we party. So, and we're open to all of those things at Kiwanis.
I like the party part. Where did it start? Where did Kiwanis start?
Well, our club started, do you want to talk about where it
the
started?
original?
Yeah, why don't you talk about that?
All right. The Kiwanis actually began in 1915 in Detroit, Michigan. It was a group of businessmen who were very active in the community and created an organization that would, one, be good networking for themselves, and not secondarily, but just as important, serve the poor. That was their primary emphasis, was to serve the poor in the community. And it expanded from there to surrounding communities, and today is international in scope.
How did the local chapter start?
Well, the local chapter started back in February of 1955. Some of the leaders in the community got together. Al Carter was the postmaster. Dutch Thomas was educator. Pete Pavlina, who is still a member, was part of that. And Lou Mariani, who you probably know that name. They all got together, and we were sponsored by the Los Altos Club in 1955. So they got together, and now we currently meet at the Blue Pheasant in Cupertino. We've been there for decades, and so we've been donating our time and our money to the local community since that time.
What is the international focus of the organization?
Well, it started out as we serve was our motto, and sometime perhaps 15 to 20 years ago, the emphasis changed to serving the children of the world. And we've had many projects that focus on children as well as healthcare in general. We had a project that was about 5 years in the completion, and not necessarily in the making, of the iodizing salt throughout the world, and it's to eliminate the problems, goiter and other problems that come about, relatively serious problems that come about because of lack of iodine in people's system. And it was, we collected over, I think, $80 million, I think, approximately, to over about a 5-year period to fund that. And it was primarily in the third world countries. Most of the salt we get is, but in the rest of the world, it was a good way to eliminate a disease. And I don't know that we eliminated it, but we made some real strides towards that goal.
Well, do you have a mission statement or a motto that can sum that up?
Well, actually we do. There are 6 points to it, and the objectives of Kiwanis International is to give primacy to the human and spiritual rather than the material values of life, to encourage the daily living of the Golden Rule in all human relationships, to promote the adoption and application of higher social, business, and professional standards, to develop by precept and example a more intelligent, aggressive, and serviceable citizenship, to provide through Kiwanis clubs a practical means to form endearing friendships, to render altruism service, and to build better communities, to cooperate in creating and maintaining that sound public opinion and high idealism which make possible the increase of righteousness, justice, patriotism, and goodwill. And when we induct a new member, we read this as part of their induction to remind each of us what our purpose in being in Kiwanis is.
What is your motto?
Well, the motto is to serve the children of the world.
That sums it up very nicely. You're a service organization that works with our youth in building future leaders. When were women allowed in Kiwanis?
Well, women were allowed in the early 90s. We have women in our club now, and all Kiwanis clubs and all service clubs have women participating. So we started taking women in the early 90s.
And how well was it received?
Wasn't that well received by our club. We lost some members because of that, but in the end, right now I think that about 25 to 30% of all Kiwanians are female members, and it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, you can certainly participate in serving the community. So I think in the end it's been a very good change for Kiwanis and all service clubs.
Would you say that the club is stronger because of the men and women with their different viewpoint?
Certainly. I mean, the bottom line is that service clubs shouldn't have any bias against women or what have you. It's just a matter of having people that want to participate in their local communities and donate hours to the greater good of serving the community.
David, as local president, what do you do?
Well, my responsibilities as the club president is to make sure that everything gets done that we try to do. Starting with our lunch meetings, we meet each week for lunch. We usually have guest speakers, and Doug's in charge of that. So day to day or week to week, I make sure that the club meetings go well. I'm in charge of those. And I'm also in charge of making sure that the people that do the individual projects, that are in charge of the projects, I assist them, but I try to delegate to them so that they're in charge of getting all the things done that we want to do in the community. I also go to a district council meeting once a week. So I have a lot of hats to wear, but my job is to make sure that everything gets done during my term as president.
Well, we thank you for your efforts.
Sure.
Let's start talking about some of the programs that you're doing. Let's start with the senior lunch.
Well, the Senior Citizens Lunch we do once a year in September. The Senior Citizen Center is a place where people that are seniors go for day-to-day activities. And there's a lot of volunteers at the Senior Citizen Center. We honor those volunteers. So once a year we start from scratch and prepare a steak and chicken barbecue lunch for those volunteers. We serve it. We have our Key Club members from the local high schools assist us. So we do it from start to finish. We start from scratch, serve the food, clear it, and they also have a program during that day. So it's a very popular way to culminate their year end. So it's very successful.
And the Kiwanis donates all this?
Yes, we do. Have to say that our head chef, Fenton Hill, who's been with us for 3 or 4 decades in doing this, he's got it down pat, and it just goes very smoothly.
Well, as a member of the Senior Center, I'd like to thank you because we're all
You're welcome.
volunteers there. Okay, what's the next program?
Doug, you want to talk about the spring baskets?
Okay, several years ago, we've at the request, I think, of the now called West Valley Community Services. It was Cupertino Community Service originally, and we provided for the poor in the neighborhood or those that needed some help. Usually, right before Easter, a basket, or not a basket, but a bag of food that included either a ham or a chicken, eggs, potatoes, bread, and a vegetable or two in there, as well as Easter baskets for the kids if they had kids, and they arranged for this through the community center, and they would call in advance so we know exactly how many bags to have ready, and it's somewhere between 50 and 100 each year, and we pay for and provide, and the community center actually bags it themselves, but all the supplies, and it's very well received. It's a rewarding experience to be a part of that.
Okay, let's talk about your high school program, the Key Clubs.
Well, we sponsor 2 Key Clubs. I'm actually the person in charge of Cupertino. My wife Kristen's in charge of Monte Vista. So we're the advisors for those 2 clubs. So Key Clubs are kind of like Kiwanis Clubs for high schoolers. It's probably the largest organization in high school. The Key Clubs are very popular, very large. We have about 100 members in each club. So they do what we do. They raise money. They do projects. In April, they go to a district convention. This year it'll be in Anaheim. So it's a way for them to get an understanding of how to run a club, how to raise money, how to have a budget, how to plan, and it goes well for them to use this for later time in life, and hopefully some of those people become Kiwanians or at least join some other service organization.
What type of programs do they do in the
Well,
clubs?
I know Cupertino's done Relay for Life. They've done some other things when it comes to food pantries, and a lot of it's time. Wherever they can donate their time for certain projects, that's what they do. So I know the Relay for Life, they did it in Campbell last year. It was an overnight thing. I helped them with that, and so they have a lot of different projects, but they mostly time related.
Good. What about the program you have at a grade school? Was it Lawson Middle School?
It's Lawson Middle School, and Lawson is about a 4-year-old school now. It was a converted elementary school, and because there was a need in Cupertino school system for one more middle school, and Lawson became that middle school. And the very first year that it existed, we saw an opportunity to reach out and I guess alert the 8th graders who would soon be going to high school to service in the community. And with the cooperation of the staff at Lawson, who actually picked the award recipient, we have created an award for a Lawson Middle School 8th grader who has, been an excellent or very good student, has involved in school activities, and also works in the community in one way or another. And so that's, and we recognize them at one of the last days of school. There's always an awards banquet, or not banquet, but an award ceremony. We're the only organization that outside the school that comes in, and it's actually there's an award of like $100 for the winner of that, and we use that to also let the students know that next year when they go to high school, there is something called the Key Club, and they will have an opportunity to join that. And it's important to high school students to be a part of community service, because when they are filling out their college application, that's going to be one of the things that the colleges look at. They're all smart, they're all getting good grades, they're all perfect people, but they need to be able to demonstrate that. And the Key Club is a way to get in the service hours and really do something worthwhile. So the Lawson Award is a step towards letting them know about Key Club.
Good. What about the Tour de Cure?
Well, there are probably two things I'd like to talk about, Tour de Cure being the first one. Tour de Cure is basically a bike race. The money that's raised, and it's almost $950,000 was raised last year for diabetes. So we have that end up in the Woodside area where they have a road race, and I guess there's sponsors for each of the bike riders, and there's almost 2,000 bicyclists. So there's different places where they stop for food. We try to man some of those stations. There's people that drive to make sure that if there's bikes that have a mechanical problem, or if somebody's having a physical problem getting up and down those hills, the Kiwanis is there. So we pretty much have that activity, and it's growing. It's continuing to grow each year, and I think that's coming up again in June. The other project that I wanted to mention would be our Special Games. Special Games is similar to Special Olympics, although with Special Games, most of the kids that are disabled are more severely disabled than those that you see in Special Olympics that are running those track meet type events. So what we do at De Anza College coming up on May 20th, we'll have about 850 different kids that'll come from Santa Clara County. They'll participate in events. There's Nerf archery, there's a few running races, there's just a lot of different events, and it's just very fulfilling to see the kids enjoy the competition of the day. Everybody gets a ribbon of some sort. So all of the clubs in our division, and there's 14 clubs, they come to the De Anza College, and we put on that Special Games.
You did speak about the iodine program, which has been completed and was quite a success. What's your present program with neonatal and prenatal?
It's an international program that focuses on problems with neonatal concerns with childbirth and preparation for childbirth, and it's primarily an educational program bringing more information to the communities throughout the world. And again, it's third world, Africa, and some of the more remote areas of Asia that really need the help, the service, the doctors, and the education on how they can produce healthy babies. And so that's been it's a fundraising program to provide the money, to provide all the information and the medical care, and as well as reaching out to the community and doing it basically ourselves.
That is quite a list of projects that you people are involved in. As I said earlier, the public doesn't realize how much good service clubs do, and this is kind of the message that we like to get out to the public. In your experience, have you found that our youth today is much more sensitive to public community service, because many of them are required at school to have so many community service hours in?
They are, and in fact, that's part of, I think, why we started the awards program at Lawson, and we've talked about doing it with the other middle schools, is when they're filling out their college applications, there will be a portion in there that allows them the opportunity to brag a little bit about themselves and let those universities that they're interested in attending know that they have worked for the benefit of the community and something beyond just themselves, and that can be the difference between getting into the right school and not getting into the right school. So students are pretty in tune with that. I mean, the two key clubs that Dave directs, the Cupertino High, and has over 100 students that are in Key Club, and Monte Vista High has 80 or 90 somewhere in there. So I mean, they're active big clubs, and Kiwanis, our organization, really could not do a lot of the projects that we work on in the community without their help. We need the bodies, and they are young and healthy, and they can do the grunt work.
The grunt work, yes. Well, I just think it's
we do
great
a lot of grunt work.
when I hear these kids and see the volunteers from the various service clubs showing up. And I don't remember being taught that when I went to school, and I'm not even sure whether my kids were taught that. And it's just so great to instill this into our youth that it's just going to continue on through organizations like yourselves. Do you see service clubs joining together to do projects? In the past, they were kind of isolated from each other, but I hear there's a trend that maybe in the future there'll be more working together.
Well, true. It used to be that if you were in one service club, you couldn't be in another, but I think that's changing. If you want to be in more than one, you can do it, if you find that you have the time. I know that we've had a project with the Cupertino Rotary Club in the past up at Camp Costanoan up in the hills of Cupertino, where we put in some beds, and we've built some barns up there in the past. So we've done it with them. I think you'll find that a lot of clubs will have similar interests in the community, and it'll overlap, and they'll work together to get things done. So I do see that happening more in the future.
How many clubs are there in the Bay Area?
There are two separate. Well, there's actually three divisions in Kiwanis in this area, and there's the Peninsula Division, which we are a part of, and that's Division 34, and it starts in San Francisco and comes down to Cupertino and Sunnyvale. This is as far south, and then there's Division 12, which is San Jose, and that encompasses from Morgan Hill to Fremont to in and around all of San Jose, and there's I believe 14 clubs in the peninsula and 12 clubs in the San Jose area. And we work, I mean, the San Jose division helps and works with us on the special games. Because again, we need a lot of bodies for 800-something kids. And the East Bay, I don't remember how many clubs there are, but it probably generally they're somewhere in the low teens is sort of what is the target for a lieutenant governor who is head of a district, and to coordinate their activities.
So it sounds like any of our viewers could find a local Kiwanis club in their neighborhood to start doing public service.
Yes.
I think they can.
Okay, well, how would they contact them?
Well, realistically, you could probably Google Kiwanis and put in a city, and you'll probably find a Kiwanis club in that city. They could always contact me, myself. You could always call me, and I can direct them to the one that's close to their work or to their home. But realistically, if they just look up Kiwanis, they'll be able to find local clubs that they can join.
Would you like to give your phone number?
Certainly. I can be reached at 408-348-1446.
And you'll answer any of the questions on Kiwanis and steer them off to another club?
Absolutely. Been doing this for about 25 years. Be happy to help.
David, is there anything else that you'd like to add, about service or about Kiwanis?
Well, 25 years ago, a fellow walked into my office and was looking for my partner to go to a Kiwanis meeting. Well, he wasn't there and I was, so I said I'd be happy to check it out. So when you join a service club, you're going to have lifelong friendships. You're going to be very fulfilled with the time and effort you spend with the local community. I just find that the Kiwanis Club for me has been very fulfilling, and whether it's Kiwanis or some other service organization, I think that everybody should just go check it out, see what the club's all about, and I think you'll find a good fit if you look around. And service clubs need people more than ever now, and the communities certainly will benefit. So I think service clubs really have a place, and certainly you should check it out.
David and Doug, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your message on service, and we hope that you will find some new members. And I wouldn't wish any more projects on you. Your plate seems to be full right now. Thank you for watching today, and I'd like to leave you with a message that if you would like to be truly happy, make somebody else happy. And that's it for today on The Better Part. Hope to see you next week. Thank you.
We hope that you have found today's program both informative and interesting. If you would like to suggest a topic or a guest for The Better Part, you can always reach us at the Cupertino Senior Center. The number there is 408-777-3150. You can learn more about us and order a copy of this program or one of the many programs that we've done by visiting our website. The website address is www.thebetterpart.com. The Better Part has many of its programs available through the Santa Clara County Library System. And The Better Part has selected programs also on YouTube. Thanks again for watching. See you next week.